I am, and I was able to catch that, so we good.
Yeah, I had some alcohol for Father's Day, and I'm just trying to get it out, so I can get back on that diet.
Let's
So
go.
why not?
Me too. Way too much alcohol for Father's Day.
I don't have enough. I got that and these goofy. Look, see,
I like that.
I tell dad jokes periodically.
I love it. I think that works, bro. I love that shirt.
Wife hates it, and I'm like, I'm gonna wear it. I'd
Here's
wear it
the
to
thing,
work
babe.
if they'd let me.
Here's the thing, babe. Gonna wear this shirt.
The kids who bought it, so
Yes.
with our money,
Children bought it.
but
Yeah, of course. Dad life. Hey, here's this gift for you that you paid for.
Yeah.
That I didn't ask for. Yeah. Thank you.
You'll like it though.
I'll love it. You know what? I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. Prop. Welcome to the show. You don't know this because you have too many Twitter followers, but at the beginning of the year, I actually said if I can get the Pope or Propaganda on the show, it's just going to be the last show because I'll count that as a success. And that's a legitimate tweet. You go back in and you can find it.
This better not be the last show. You got to get the Pope also, right?
It won't be the last show.
Oh, okay, good.
I have emailed the Pope. They keep saying no. And that also is a true thing. I don't even know if he speaks English. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out. But welcome to the show, man. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, bro. Glad to be here. That's hilarious.
I guess. Maybe he'll say yes, and then maybe I will.
You never know, dude. Then you're like, damn it. I shouldn't have said it was the last show.
Maybe I ended it with ellipses. And so it wasn't the end of the sentence. I don't think that happened because I'm not that clever. Anyway, so for those that don't know
I love the show.
For those that don't know you, who and what is propaganda? Like, why is that?
Well, what is the word propaganda or the person?
You?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I am a rapper and poet. I do podcasts. Husband, I'm a father. I wrote a book, which is super rad. I am a West Coaster, Californian through and through. I bleed Los Angeles. And I taught high school for 6 years. I'm the son of a Black Panther. I'm the son of a praying mother. I got a praying mama. I'm the youngest of my siblings. I am the second favorite parent, which is they've made abundantly clear when my daughter goes, "You're not my favorite, mom is." So you didn't have to say it out loud. Like we know, but you ain't have to say it. But here it is. Yeah.
I read that part of your book and then I read it to my wife out loud, especially that part about Stranger Things, like your internal monologue there where you're like, why are you crying?
It's not real. Go to bed. You know?
We'll get there. But I have a 6-year-old that legit hates me. She will tell you to your face.
Yes.
I don't like him.
That's my 6-year-old. She's like, and sometimes she'll daddy run and give me a hug, but most of the time she's like, can mommy do it? Can I sit by mommy? I don't want to sit by you. I don't want to ride in your car. Correct. You're not my favorite.
Don't tell me good night. And I'll tell her, hey baby, I love you. Can I give you a hug good night? No.
Well,
I love you.
Don't say that. You're just like, oh my.
This is it. Just silence. Nothing. Just stare me down while I walk out of the room slowly backwards.
What did we do to our children? Like, where did I go wrong?
One day she'll realize I'm going to pay for the wedding.
One day she realized you paid for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, true story. My oldest is a true story. My oldest, she's 15, about to turn 16 now, but she was single digit age. I don't remember exactly what it is, but she was like deathbed sick all through the night, coughing, barfing, just gross. My wife sleeps through everything. So I'm up holding her hair, getting her water, checking her temperature, on to the point to where I'm like, I'm getting up so many times that I just go sleep on the couch. Cause I'm like, I keep having to climb over. So I'm like, I'm just going to sleep on the couch. She finally falls asleep like 3 a.m. So I was like, okay, cool. Finally, she's actually asleep. I go back to the bed. In the morning, my precious daughter gets up, walks over to her mom's side of the bed, gives her the longest hug and kiss, and goes, "I love you, mom." And I popped up and I was like, "Are you? I was up all night with you." And she goes, "Oh yeah, thanks, Dad."
Yeah.
And then she looks over. My wife looks over at me and she goes, "Oh, that was sweet. What happened
She
last night?
okay?
She all right?" And I was like, I hate both of y'all. I can't stand both of y'all. Dog, that was like, I was like, is this dad life? Is this what dad is? Is
Mhm.
this what it is? Is this what I signed up for? I guess I'm here.
I only have one child that likes me. It's my middle child, who is my middle girl. My son, I
Oh
think, hates
man.
me, but we're the same person, so we don't like each
Mm.
other. And then I don't know why my youngest daughter doesn't like me,
I
but
think me and my oldest are the same person. I think
yeah,
that might be why we don't like each other.
yeah.
Yeah.
We've been to counseling, prop, and they told us
Damn.
you're the same person.
Dang. Okay, you win. That's different.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you wrote a book, but
I
you do a
did.
lot of things. Like
Yeah.
so, I didn't know what to expect when I read the book. Matter of fact, a little before we got going, so my friend Josh was the one. He's like, "Here you go, read this." I was like, "I didn't know he wrote a book," so I was
Yeah.
behind. I
It's
didn't
all
know it
good.
was it. Yeah. So, but I read it. I didn't know what to expect to read it, and I'm curious. As I read through it about 60%, and I was like, I'm not sure exactly who this audience is. So
Mm.
who is the book written to? Because we'll talk about what the book is, a little bit of that. I got some questions I like to rip apart. I also got a question about I listened to you freestyle on that Rapzilla podcast because
Yeah.
it said freestyle. I was like, I actually I don't get to hear that all that often. Let me hear it.
Yeah.
You said some mess on Whataburger that we're going to talk about in a minute because
Okay.
I'm a little upset,
I
but
love
that's
it.
okay. But yeah, who
I'll
is the
defend
book
my
aimed
stance.
at?
Yeah. Uh, it's like I always like that question always like stumps me because I think in a lot of ways I don't know
Mm,
who I'm talking to.
editors
I
love that.
know, huh?
Editors love that.
I know, right? I know the point I'm trying to make. It's like you find it later
Mhm.
who you're talking to. So I think a lot of times maybe I'm talking to myself.
Mm,
Maybe it's a diary, but I know I'm not the only one that thought this. You know what I'm saying? I think that's more the thing to me. It's like I know I'm not the only one that thought that like, hey, why is everything like this and why is it still staying like this? We
mm,
could probably do something else, right? So I'm like, I can't be the only one that thought this.
mm.
So it's one of those like, yeah, I think I finally know how to answer that question. It's the part where I feel like my writing is, imagine you're in a room and I'm addressing the 400-pound gorilla, maybe not the 800-pound gorilla that everybody sees, but the 400, where it's like, hey, I know everybody saw that one, but I can't be the only one that saw this one too. So I'm gonna say it, and then so I'm hoping that the rest of the room goes, yeah, actually. So I don't know who that person is. I'm just thinking I can't be the only one that thought this.
Yeah. Yeah. So a narrative throughout your book, um, as well as your most recent album, because it appears as though many of the lyrics are in this book, if not all of the
Yes.
lyrics. Maybe I'm wrong, but many
Yeah,
of
the
the lyrics are in
albums
there.
go with the books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not all
Yeah.
of them, but a lot of them.
Wait, you said books. How many books have you written?
I meant albums. All the
Okay.
albums go with the book. There's
Just
only
want to
there's
make
three
sure.
more albums. There's three more EPs to go with the single book. My
Wait,
bad.
after Terraform, where are they? When are they? Are they not?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So the book is broken up into four sections: the
Mm-hmm.
sky, the soil, the
Mm-hmm.
people, possibility. The people's already out. The sky is coming out within the next couple weeks, and then there's the soil and the possibility.
Uh-huh.
They're all coming.
I missed that. See, I'm just not with
It's all
it.
good, bro. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah. Well,
You sent your one tweet in the beginning of the year that
expecting
said
nothing to happen. And then
yes,
here you
and
are.
then
And
now we
again,
are.
I'm going to finish this beer. We'll finish this conversation. I might not even edit it because that's the end. Um, so you are talking about culture in a way that I like, but I feel like you're using the word culture in a way that most people do not normally use culture. Like we use
Yeah,
culture as a weapon, as ammunition, as
yeah,
an arrow, as whatever um, aggressive way we need to get my point across because those people are wrong. But you
yeah,
seem to be using culture throughout the book in a different way. So
yeah.
like what is culture and like why are you approaching it from that way?
I love it, man. I think the because of like the advent of like the culture wars, especially like in the like sort of like right wing evangelical space, who treats the culture as something separate from them, you know, is just academically and by definition a misnomer. It's just false. That's just not how culture works.
Mm-hmm.
Culture is two humans trying to figure out how to survive. It's, you know what I mean? And it's the things that they come up with that is you make up out of the clear blue sky between you and the other people that is necessary for survival. Language is culture. You know what I'm saying? It's this is humans made it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So all of our institutions, it's us. So the point I try to make in the book is like culture is as healthy as we are. If culture's unhealthy, it's because we're unhealthy, because we are it. I can't be at war with something I am. You know what I mean? Like it's not separate from me. I am the culture, right? And so are you, because it doesn't exist if there are no us, right? So I was approaching it from that sort of like academic perspective of like how you define culture, and then from like a more like, for lack of a better term, pop culture sense, like then that means that the power's in our hands, ball's in our court,
Yeah.
and then we get to define what it is, and then I try to give examples of like what I mean by like we make culture, and then eventually culture turns around and makes us, which is a motif I got from this guy named Peter Barger. He's a sociologist.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like that take. And I think I like it. And I actually don't think I put it together until you just said that out loud, because you said it slightly different than some of the words in the book. But to be clear, again, I may or may not have been drinking when I was reading the
It's
book.
all good.
So the so I think that when you and I choose to miss the mark, we create hell or bad culture, or we can choose to create a kingdom.
Good culture.
One or the other. Yeah. Yes. And that's literally sin and the kingdom of heaven. Like you and I making it, or we're also still making it. We get to actively participate in the creation of this. Yeah. So I use the word kingdom. You use the word culture. I kind of like it. I do want a definition though. What is the age range for OS 1 millennial?
Man, from what I understand,
because that's not a term that I know.
No. It's like we're the first wave of them. So from what I understand, you was born between 79 and 83.
So that's me. Yeah. Because as you described it, I'm like, I feel like that's me. I can remember when I got caller ID.
Yes.
I can remember doing work on a basic computer with a Mac floppy disk the size of this MacBook that I'm talking to you.
Yes. But at the same time,
I graduated with T1 internet. Let's go.
Exactly.
T1, which isn't even a thing people know what the hell T1 is.
Yeah, people don't know what that is. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's like, it's like this weird moment to where like maybe if you were like younger than your siblings, like for years they were printing out directions. like they're still using MapQuest. And it's like, this is my sibling. This is my older sibling. And I don't understand why you're asking me directions. Here's the address. You know what I'm saying? But you remember printing out at some point using MapQuest, but like you were young enough to be like, oh, this is great. I don't have to use MapQuest no more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Though there's something to be said for, I guess that we're similar in age, because I fall right into the middle of that.
Yeah, that in between.
Yeah.
We're not Generation X. Like I'm not an Xer.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I do find it easy though, especially for what I do for a living. I can relate well to people that know how the internet works, but also then like I can empathize with an older generation that's like, I just don't quite understand this.
Totally.
Please help me. I'm like, sure. Let me explain it to you in a different way.
Yeah.
And like, I also still find it innately easier than some of my siblings or younger friends to just navigate around a city. Cause I'm like, yeah, that's avenues run this way, streets run this way, circles run this way.
I don't have to use my map.
If it's an even number interstate, that's an east and west one. If it's an odd number, it goes up and down, and it starts at 1 in California, and we got the 90s on the East Coast over here where I'm at. So
yes, Totally.
And it's because to the west of me.
It's over there. Because yes, that's the perfect example. I don't ever use my maps unless I don't know the place. But most of the time I'm like, oh yeah, it's off. What city is it? Oh, okay, it's off the 10. It's north of the 10 because Larchmont is north of the 10. So yeah, you just go. I'm pretty sure I can get off on Western Crenshaw or La Brea. It's gonna be up there. Yeah,
I'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll be over there.
Yeah, it's fine.
So when my wife and I were out in Phoenix not long ago, and we're trying to find a place to get ice cream, and we didn't intend to be in Phoenix. We left from vacation where we were at. We went to the Grand Canyon.
Oh wow!
And she's like, "Well, we're gonna get lost." I'm like, "It's gonna be fine. Like the roads out here work the same way as the roads in Texas where I'm from." Like, she's like, "We're not gonna find it." Yes, we will. It's gonna. Baby. See, there it is. Found it. Let's get some ice cream.
West, California, 10 East, back home. Yeah, simple.
Well, back home to Virginia is a long way. So
it's a long way.
So I mentioned Texas, and then in this Rapzilla interview, which I'll link in the transcript of show, I'm not linking to it in the show notes, but I will put in the transcript.
Don't do that.
You threw out some issues with Whataburger, basically saying like they don't know how to make French fries, and so I am from like Midland, Texas, born in Odessa. I don't play games, and I shouldn't have listened, and I should have stopped listening. Why?
Like I have attacked your soul because
it hurt.
Your identity is tied into. I find this with every Texan.
Yes.
I can't talk about Dr. Pepper and I can't talk about Whataburger.
You can talk about Dr. Pepper. You can't talk about Plano, but you can talk about because there's the Dr. Pepper in the store. That ain't Dr. Pepper. But then there's the Dr. Pepper in the glass bottle that you can only buy in Plano. Don't talk about that Dr. Pepper.
So here's the thing. I am saying, like, as a reflection of yourself, there are things about California that I understand. I will agree. Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles is not the greatest chicken and waffles.
But it's your chicken and waffles.
But it's mine. And I will defend it to the death because it's California, because it's open, because it's Pico and La Brea. But what I'm saying is I have the self-awareness about that. And I just feel like y'all Texans don't have that self-awareness about Whataburger. It's not that good. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, but I understand your emotional tie to it. I understand that spicy sriracha ketchup. I understand that. I understand that, but that's a condiment. That's not the burger. That's the condiment. And what I'm saying, I understand that it was open at 2 a.m. after Friday Night Football and the whole school went to it. I get it.
Is that or IHOP? And IHOP sucks.
And IHOP sucks because you could say that's verifiably bad food. But you could have mediocre food tied to your high school 2 a.m. experience
and call it In-N-Out Burger.
I get
no, I'm kidding. I don't
good. That was good. That was good. But I could say that Fat Burger, Roscoe's, it's mediocre food. In-N-Out. Different story.
No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. So yeah, and then one last question, just because I don't ever speak with a coffee aficionado, and that's why I stalk you on Instagram, not for anything else other than coffee.
Show you what's up.
I'm a cheap guy, so I just drink the Folgers Black. But I just want to know.
Sorry,
man. I know it's what I can afford, right? Man to man, how should I be drinking my coffee? Like, if I could choose, what should I be doing? Because I'd like to be better.
I am over the bell curve of like snobity for coffee.
So just Folgers then?
No, but I will say this. If you're gonna do Folgers, if you're gonna I just need it done and good. If you're not gonna take the time, there are plenty of places that have figured out how to freeze dry espresso. And you can steep it in little tea bags. It's pretty amazing. There's a spot called Honest Roasters that did this. But I will say this, to this day, at my wife's grandma's house, my mother, my grandma-in-law, I don't know what you call her. Acapulco, she's in Mexico. She will boil her water with cinnamon sticks in it, and then pour that into some Nescafe instant coffee. And it's delicious. And it's instant coffee with cinnamon water, and it's
Mm.
amazing.
Mm.
So I will. If you just want it done, get it done,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and not as burnt and paper taste as just some folders from your drip machine.
Right.
Which again, I would never judge you if that's what you're gonna do. That's what you're gonna do. But I would say, dude,
6-year-old. That's all I got time
yes,
for.
exactly. I would say get some Nescafe, boil some water with some cinnamon sticks, use that as your instant coffee water, and it'll already be better than that Folgers
With
drip.
cinnamon sticks. Okay.
Yes.
I can do that. So getting back to why I actually have you on, because I got
Okay.
those out of the way. They've been itching in my head, probably
Dope.
since January when I sent that out. So there's a part in your book where you do a lot of let me tell you what I'm not gonna do. Back to
Yes.
back to back. So there's a part in here where you say, I'm not going to tell you your pain is a usable commodity for the rest of society.
Yes.
It's up to you what you do with your healing. But I will say this, you should choose to tell your better story. It will transform you into a terraformer of the worlds of your listeners. It's
Yeah.
that last part that I want to drill on. Like, what are you getting into there? Like terraforming the worlds of your listeners.
What
Specifically,
I'm
because a lot of people I don't think realize that they have a platform like that people
yeah.
are paying attention.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people are actually listening to you, whether you have a podcast or not,
Mm-hmm.
or a platform or not. You have a platform in somebody else's life. They're
Mm-hmm.
watching you. They're understanding. They're learning the world from you, um, whether directly or indirectly. It's happening. Um, so I think there's an importance of understanding that how you choose to navigate the world, for better or for worse, is shaping somebody's worldview. And it's just the reality, because again, full circle, that's just how culture works. We're
Mm-hmm.
influenced by each other,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And how you navigate pain uh is up to you, you know. Um, but I think there's like a reality of like, if your pain was on display with the people around you, there's a great amount of like power and influence in your healing also being on display for those
Mm.
same people, you know. But I I think I don't like hearing people saying, "Hey, you need to share your healing because you're gonna heal somebody else." Because I feel like, well, they ain't go through it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that was something you went through. And I think that like I don't want to ever add any extra pressure or guilt to a person who maybe that thing is deeply personal. Maybe there are no like words. You wouldn't even know how to share it. Maybe sharing would open the wound. I don't know. But I didn't want to make it seem as though like your whole life is transactional,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I feel like we treat each other as
Mm-hmm.
like, all your experiences are transactions, they're for me. You know what I mean? Well, what do you mean for you? They're for you if I want them to be, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't robbing people of agency. um but at the same time, the reality of like, whatever you choose, it's informing the people around you.
Yeah. I want to talk a bit about beauty and truth. So there's a part in your book that honestly, this sentence still doesn't make any sense to me.
Uh-oh.
And that's okay. It's probably
Good.
me. So you say self-awareness makes graciousness. For some
Yes.
reason, those words just don't, maybe I don't know. I don't know, do it. But towards the tail end of that paragraph, you say, so I wonder which modern debates will sound silly in 1,000 years. As you're talking about, like, like ancient Greece and ancient, like they all thought that this was a thing, and the sun was
Yeah.
chasing this, like, and we think that's silly, and I do think that's right. Neil Tyson deGrasse has a thing about like the way that space time bends space, and like the stuff that we don't even see, and how like 1,000 years from now we're not even going to be looking at the same stars, and like we don't even realize all the context that we lost.
Yeah.
But and I think that's a beautiful way to look at a divine being, or just at life in general.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I don't understand self-awareness makes graciousness.
I love it.
Like
I
what?
love that you asked that. That's one of the questions I was like, I was hoping someone would ever ask me.
Mm,
Um, what I mean by it is this: the more you understand yourself, the more you see truly your strengths, this is like self-awareness is both. It's your strengths and your weaknesses. It's your beauty and your flaws. And then the flaws that are beautiful. It's the whole gambit. I know what I'm good at. I don't have any like sort of like pretense about some sort of like false humility or some sort of puffed up,
Mm,
prideful thing about myself, but I know what I'm good at. I also know what I'm not good at. I also know what I need help in, where I'm struggling, where I'm inconsistent and I'm still working it out. You know what I'm saying? And I know that there's a lot that I don't know, So I think that like the more you see it in yourself and all the work you did for so many years to hide it, then you now see it in other people and you can go, oh, this fool's hiding. He's hiding an insecurity.
mm,
He's
okay.
hiding an insecurity. So I'm like, I can be more gracious to this person. Now I don't have to respond to their defense mechanism with my own defense mechanism. I can be more gracious.
Mm,
I can be more patient with this person because I understand, oh, it's me. I've been doing this for years. I'm like, oh, you have a weakness. Oh, you have a wound.
mm,
You're functioning from that wound. Okay, cool.
yeah. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
How do I do that in a social media environment that is as politicized as the world that you and I live in today?
Oh, you block them. I'm just kidding.
I can't block Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, I know, right? You just with Mitch McConnell, that's great. That's a good example with him. It's like I don't have to engage with this dude because it's one of those things where I'm like, you and I both know what you're doing,
Mm,
and you're not gonna stop. And me calling you on it is not gonna make you stop doing this because it's working too well for you. So
mm,
I'm not gonna stop you from doing this. I don't even have to respond because, like I said, it's not gonna change anything. So
yeah.
I think for me in a social media space is that calculus of like, is this person, first of all, is this person an actual person? Like, or is this
Yeah.
a
I don't necessarily
farm?
mean on social media. I just mean that is the mentality that we bring into our real life relationships.
Totally. Yeah. 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 Of just like, yeah, I think, yeah, but I think that yeah, given that context, I think we're all putting our best self, it is, or we're at least curating what the world sees about ourselves on the internet in the same way we did in real life. We still curated what people saw about us. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? And then some things kind of like get over the fence and you see the real you, which, you know, is hard for anyone. But I think that when you remember that about a person and throughout the internet, it's like they're choosing which part of them they're showing,
mm,
and I can choose to engage in that or I could choose not to engage in that because the truth is I probably don't really know this person
mm.
and I don't have to care. I could turn off my phone.
Fair enough.
I think that was the
Yeah.
freest thing to me where I was like, "Oh, wait. I don't have to care."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You wrote a song about that. I'm just here for the comments.
I'm
Yeah.
just here for the comments, bro.
That's that song makes me laugh.
I am completely disconnected,
Yeah.
and even when I do get into it, like with somebody, like part of me is like this grin I have on my face now is grin because I'm like, y'all, you don't understand how uninvolved I am in this combo. Like I really, it makes me no difference.
Yeah. I just
Oftentimes,
came in here to like everybody's post and then
yes,
I left.
and then I'm gone. You're right. Sometimes, and especially when I know what I'm talking about, and I'm like, I don't have to convince you because I know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And then when I don't know what I'm talking about, then oftentimes I'm like, okay, well, let me listen to what this actually let me do listen. But I am in control
Mm.
of my engagement to this, not them.
Yeah. Besides you have terraforming exercises or practices at the end of each episode.
Yeah.
I forget which one was it's the one where you like list out like all the people
Yeah,
that
the
have been
tell me
like
yours.
yeah. But besides the one where you've smartly listened to your wife about grounding, and
Yes.
it appears as though you're still not taking off your shoes. But besides that one,
Nope.
which one is the hardest for you personally on a consistent basis to ensure that you are doing to stay healthy?
Man, that's good, man. Wow. Let me go through them. I gotta go through them in my head. Um, wow. I think probably there was a part about the self-reflection. I think in the truth is yelling at you chapter that was about what is this mundane, obvious thing that's happening that's hitting at you in a certain way that is clearly trying to communicate something to you about you. Because I think oftentimes like I get in the moment, like anyone, like I'll tell you what, like just now, the my printer, when's the last time you ever actually had to use the printer?
Dude, you still have a printer.
I
That's
still have
amazing.
one because I have children.
That's because you're an OS1 millennial.
Yes. And because like I get furious anytime I have to print something because I'm like, this is stupid. Why do I have to do this? But my kid's going to a pride march tomorrow and they needed a permission slip. So I emailed it and they were like, can you print it? And I'm like,
we're gonna need a wet signature. Yeah.
Word? Okay. And then for the love of me, it just kept jamming. And I was like, this is the dumbest. It doesn't have, like, I'm so pissed as to like, and while I'm trying to figure it out, my wife goes, what do you have planned tomorrow? And I wanted to like turn and become a dragon and be like, are you serious right now? You want me to, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stop and check my calendar right now while I'm trying to print this thing for our daughter. You don't see that I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? So like, but I think what was happening was I felt out of control. And I think that now I didn't, I was able to catch it because I practiced this terraforming thing, able to be like, you're just irritated that this isn't working. Your wife's question is valid. And just explain to her, can I tell you later, I'm really frustrated about this printer.
I'm gonna yell at something. I don't want it to be you.
I'm gonna yell. I'd rather yell at this inanimate object. You know, and so I think that like one of the most difficult things is to continue to have that wherewithal. Like the truth is yelling at you. You're mad because you're out of control. And that like ability to reflect is something that like I try to like struggle day to day to make sure that that's what's happening.
Yeah. I have a really simple question, but it's because I honestly have no idea. Why do ziggurats get a shout out and an explainer in a book about terraforming? Like, why ziggurats? Like, why does that need a parenthesis that says, by the way, here's what the ziggurats is? Like, why?
Because there's a number of reasons. One, because I get teased about, they say that like, one of my homies says, like Cali dudes that are raised in LA just randomly use big words. And oftentimes they don't know what they mean, which is a pretty good mark. That's pretty true. But but I think that also as an educator, somebody like I taught high school for 6 years, whether it was my music, whether it was high school or my music or preaching or whatever the case may be, there's some moment that I never stopped for understanding. And it was like, it's a critique that I get, it's feedback I get often, is that you throw out these things,
but
and then you never go back to it. Yeah, like, what are you talking about here? So I was trying to be aware of the fact that like, okay, this is what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, and I thought ziggurat, it was just such a.
I mean, I highlighted it. I was like, what?
What?
I mean, I know what a ziggurat is.
Yeah.
Why is this?
Why it's such a deep cut that I felt like, and part of me was like, for those that know, they would get a kick out of the fact that like, this fool just shouted out ziggurats.
Yeah.
Like, why did you do that? You know, so it's part of like, is a little Easter egg for somebody like you.
Okay. Well, so you referenced the Enneagram once in here, like something with a 3-wing or whatever. So I'm a 5. So like I need all the books and I want all the knowledge, and I like to hoard it when I'm not healthy, which is probably why I do this, whatever. So I do want to ask you about this chapter. I don't know where it'll go. So you say I'm a full-blown libertarian, total free market economy guy if it wasn't for racism. And then you go on and on about that. But I
Yeah.
don't feel like that's a sentence that most libertarians say. Are you actually a libertarian? Like, what is that? And like, why does racism have anything to do with libertarianism for those people that have not read the book?
Picking up.
Do what? Oh, I broke up?
Yeah, you say full
Oh, no.
libertarian.
Oh, no. I'll say it again. I said, so you say I'd be a full blown libertarian, total
It
free
wasn't
market
for
economy guy if it wasn't for racism. But most libertarians don't say that. And I don't know
yeah,
that many libertarian friends of mine would say that those two have anything to do with one another.
yeah, yeah. So the biggest issue is if I were to say this, you're not frozen, are you?
No.
Okay, cool. It's just your thumb wasn't moving. I was just making sure. uh, there it is. It's because when I think of what finally freed us from slavery was a war and then an amendment and then military enforcement.
Mm.
What pushed the civil rights movement? Well, that was government intervention, because when we left white Americans alone, they're not going to choose us.
Mm.
You know, my own dad, like after his freaking GI Bill, after the Vietnam War, still couldn't get a loan, you know, and it took laws. It took government intervention for me to finally, like, why being able to swim in pools.
Mm.
It took laws. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I can't trust, you know, white supremacist
Yeah.
America. I can't trust you, because if I leave you alone, you're going to oppress me. So I'm like, I can't trust you. If I could trust you to understand that, like, this is detrimental to both of us, that's
Mm.
different. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you
Mm.
know, I would totally be like, dude, just, bro, like, I'm fine. Leave me alone. I don't want no handouts. I don't want nothing from none of y'all. I'll figure it out. And if I fail, it's because I wasn't good at it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
But if I'm doing that, playing in a playing field that's clearly uneven, and you've stacked the laws against me, then at some point I got to look at the ref and be like, yo, ref, I'm not the dog. Like, y'all see this? Can you do something about this? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now that makes sense. Maybe it was you. Maybe it was a good friend of mine. I don't know who it was, but I remember one time somebody saying all of the rights that I have been privileged to just from being born with this color skin were given forcefully and belligerently by legislation
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah.
I don't remember who said it actually.
Yeah, but that's the thing. All the
Yeah.
rights that I have was like,
Yeah.
we had to, every step of my life, everything I enjoy, I had to fight separately for.
Yeah.
Or my culture had to fight separately
For each one. Yeah.
For each one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I read your book on a Kindle, and so I'm not sure that the haikus come through here, but you talked about handouts a minute ago, and it reminds me of this part of your book. It's literally one of the few that I've bookmarked where you say, the Rona just yelled haikus. Here's what I heard. You live together. You don't really know your kids. Make conversation, which that's really true. And
Yeah.
last year taught me that.
Yes.
Sadly,
Yeah.
money is not real. I'm a banker, so I agree. 1.5 trillion from the Freds. Where's your healthcare, son? How do we? I agree. Terraform. Your book's not about healthcare, but I can't not address that haiku. So, and I don't even know if that's a haiku because I don't really know how to do a haiku. It's like 757.
575.
I don't know. Yeah.
You got it. 575.
Yeah. So, why is that here? Like, why is that in the book?
I think because at the time, again, we're talking about a virus that's covering the planet.
Mm-hmm.
How, and you worried about the stock market? Like, I just was just like, this is the, I don't understand why is you got 1.5 trillion, but you saying it's not enough money to cover health costs
Mm.
due to it just was just such a picture of like, oh, so you have the money, you just won't.
Mm.
And I'm like, but you know it's not real, right? Like you could pay for help, you could pay for this. I don't know, like, you know you could. And it's so it was just such a bizarre,
Yeah.
like, whether I have an opinion about it or not, it
Mm.
was just like, I'm gonna give a silly example. I am lactose intolerant, right? So just ruins Italian food for me, right? Which I
Really?
adore,
You can't
but
have
it
pasta
ruins.
if you're lactose intolerant?
No, I can't have none of the cheese.
Oh, okay.
So like the gluten's is an issue too, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, what's Italian food without the cheese, man? Like, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm like, if you, for example, like, so I'm like, I don't have a horse in a race per se, but if I see you're making, I don't know, some fettuccine Alfredo or whatever the case would be, and you putting Velveeta cheese on the top of that, I could be like, yo, you finna put that
It's not
why are
even
you,
cheese.
that's not cheese. Like, why is you doing that? And you're like, well, we don't have a money for actual Alfredo. And I'm like, but the Alfredo cheaper. I'm like, I'm not gonna eat it. I don't have an opinion, but I'm just saying that don't make no sense. Why would you say that? I'm just, and it's nasty. I'm like, Velveeta's not, don't taste good. I've been poor before. I wasn't always lactose intolerant, but when we was poor and that's
It
all
didn't
we
matter.
had, I was like, this is not good. The Alfredo tastes better. What is you doing? This don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? So in my mind, that's the way I saw this. I was like, well, this don't make no sense.
Mm.
What the hell you saving a stock market? What the hell is a stock market if everybody dead?
Right.
I don't understand what you
Yeah.
worried about an economy as humans. But if we die, then what is you saving? I'm just like, I don't understand what y'all talking about. So
Yeah.
that's kind of where that came from.
Yeah. Also, money is not like, I think it was Ben Bernanke, like in an interview, like MSNBC or CNN. He's like, yeah, we just call up the Fed and tell them to add a zero, and the banks have it. So fixed it. That was like that was right when Obama became president.
It's
Like after they don't,
amazing.
yeah, like it's literally like you hear him say it and you're like, oh,
He said
like,
it out loud.
and it's true. It's just we just fixed it. We just added a zero because we didn't need to print it. We just said that it was there, and
It's not real,
and
guys.
now
Yeah.
it is. Now it's
Yeah.
there. So we
And now
fixed
it's
it.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We don't know why there was no inflation that time, but
No,
it's
we don't
there.
know.
But it's there. Yeah. So one last question, and it's about, there's a line in here that says, "Just breathe, even if the bag isn't inflating, oxygen just
Yeah.
flows."
Yeah.
I love that line quite a bit. What do you want people to get out of that? Like, where should that be? Like for me, that's become almost like I have it written on my desk because I get
So
pretty
dope.
stressed at work. Like I just
Yeah.
like that line. So what
Yeah.
do you want people? When
Man,
would you like that to be instituted?
I love it because I'm taking it from airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing the little safety debriefing, they'll say, like, if the cabin gets depressurized, oxygen mask will flow, put it on your face and just breathe. It's not going to inflate, but the oxygen is flowing. So they're trying to warn you that, like, it's not going to look like,
Don't freak out.
don't freak out. It's not going to look like what you think it's supposed to look like, but you're fine. So I think that, like, what I was trying to address with this is like, okay, if the oxygen mask like drop down on a plane, it's a pretty legitimate reason to panic.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in crisis. So what I was trying to address is like, this is a legit, I'm not saying your crisis isn't legitimate. It's probably absolutely legitimate
Mm-hmm.
because the oxygen mask wouldn't fall if it
Yeah.
wasn't a legitimate crisis. But what I'm saying is, like, your job is to breathe, because breathe is the reminder that you're going to be okay. And even though it doesn't look like it's working, I swear to you, it's working. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mm.
think that that's what I was trying to communicate is like, I
Hmm.
promise you, you don't, I know it don't look like it. Because if I blow into something, it's supposed to expand. That's it's, it's physics.
Hmm.
But what I'm trying to say is like, I know, but still do it.
Mm.
But still breathe. Like, I promise you it's working. So in it, obviously it's like a lofty way to say that, like, hey, if you just continue to take care of yourself, these things, it will work out. And
Hmm.
even if it doesn't, you will be fine. You have to keep breathing, because that's again, the reminder that, like, you have a fortitude and ability to continue. And also, like, the understanding that, like, your breath is like, it's crazy how it really is the best indicator of where your anxiety is your breath. When you the deeper and slower you breathe, it's just truthful that it's the more relaxed you are.
Mm.
you know
Yeah.
and when you are nervous, your breath is shallow. You know what I mean? So when you take a second to, like, think about your breath for a second and just say, let me remember to, and you continue to do that, it's not only is it an indicator, it's actually causing you to calm down. You know what I mean? So just, it was my hope for those that are ever in an anxious moment or find themselves constantly in moments of anxiety that, like, yo, just breathe. I know it doesn't seem like it's working. I swear to you it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I like that. I also kind of
Yeah.
like thinking about that in a community, like me
Yeah, man.
seeing you, you seeing me, reminding each
Yes.
other, looking at the dude across the aisle. We're not crashing today. And even if we do, it's probably going to be all right because you won't feel it. We're going
I'm
too
not gonna
fast.
feel it anyway. Yeah. It'll be
But
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to ask you two more questions and then
Yeah,
I'll
dude.
let you point people where they need to be
Oh,
and get back to yelling at a printer
yes.
unless
Oh,
you've
it's
been
been
able
fixed.
to.
I
Yeah.
gotta yell at a
Yeah.
child after this.
Just breathe, man.
Just breathe.
Um,
Even if the
so
oxygen's not flowing.
hopefully not the 6 year old because she already
Yeah.
don't like you.
She already
Um,
don't like me. Yeah. And it don't work for the old one. It don't even work yelling at her. I'm just wasting my own breath.
but it
It,
feels good.
it
Um,
feel great.
so I can't not talk about the church because
Yes.
that's the itch that I just love it. Like some
Yeah.
people watch fantasy football. I come home and just read books on theology. So,
I love it.
um, or you can't watch fantasy football, but you know what I'm saying.
I
So,
feel you. I
what
follow.
at what congregationally, like as a body, do you feel like if we do not directly be empowered to talk about, is just going to explode the church as we see it in the years to come?
Oh, easy. Race and sexuality.
Mm,
It's
mm,
like, if it, yeah, and you obviously tie that into politics, which is like the third thing. But I feel like that's the politics part is not new, you know, and that is more indicative of the nation as a whole, right? If we don't really reckon with, like, how bad we've become partisan and separated. Just anybody that loves history, you're just like, a nation can't sustain this. It's gonna blow up,
yeah.
you know. So that's easy. But I think within the church, if we don't talk about race and sexuality, um, yeah, dude, we're dead in
Mm,
the water.
mm. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
Very much so. Matter of fact, I have a good friend that works for the Evangelical Covenant Church that's having their meeting right now.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, that's up to talk about tomorrow. I was like, how's it going to go? He's like, I have no idea.
It's gonna be
But
terrible, bro.
everybody's
Just
stressed about it.
yeah, it's
Although
gonna be
today
terrible.
they publicly condemned as a congregation the doctrine of discovery, which is
Let's
cool that
go.
they even talked about it. Um,
Yes.
yeah, he's like, yeah, I'll send you the video like we have because he's the dude that runs like the IT. So he's got the actual thing. He's like, I'll
That's
send it to
good.
you. I'm like, yeah, yeah, which is cool because most, we got the SBC doing their thing, and then we got them
Yeah,
going,
doing the
yeah, this is a thing
polar
you can't,
opposite.
yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
So when you try to wrap words around like the divine or God, what is that
Yeah.
for you?
Man, I love that question, bro. I think that after, like, touching soil in the Sinai Peninsula, like, after you um meet an Arab, and like in an Arab community, you're it just like throws your categories out the window, I think, in a lot of ways. Um, in the best way possible.
Mm.
I think what it did was, in a lot of ways, it sorted out the parts that were the bits that were American, the bits that were regional, and then the bits that are really transcendent. And then it blurred all those lines. Like, it was just the weirdest. I spent time in Morocco. I spent time in, the West Bank. I spent time in Jerusalem, Palestine, you know, parts of Syria. And you're like, okay, so clearly this is like, Fertile Crescent. This is where my faith comes from. And then there's like my time in Ethiopia and understanding like the African traditions about my faith and just how much longer the church was in Africa before it was in Europe, and just seeing all that, and you put it all together. And I think I finally understand the like Jewish tradition of not having vowels in the word Yahweh,
Mm.
of where it's like, this is just above us. It is. And you become, I now am so much more fascinated and interested in, not in the bits of like, well, this is where your theology's off. This is where
Mm-hmm.
we're different.
Mm.
It's those parts, that the cream that floated to the top, that we all across generations and across locations all pointed at in awe and was like, but damn, there's that,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's the part that now is of that divine, that transcendence is so much more intriguing. I'm so much more in love with that like it makes me so much more careful to give it a name and
Mm.
to like wrap a language around it, because again, language is cultural. So I know once I wrap a language around it, I've already diminished it.
You bound
So
it. Yeah.
yeah, I've bound it. So that's why I'm like, I understand now why the ancient Hebrews were like, we can't even utter this name, dog. Like,
Mm.
it's so above us. You know what I'm saying? That this is our best guess, you know. Um, so I think for me, it's like the divine is it's those bits that are so transcendent, that are so far above us,
Mm.
that are so full of beauty, that like I don't have words for them.
Mm.
You know, I
Yeah.
got I got hints of it. I got visions of it. We got pieces of it. C.S. Lewis with the good dreams, like God gave humanity good dreams. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, that's what I got. I got good dreams
Yeah.
of this thing that is like above us all,
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Syriac, like Ethiopian church, are
Uh-huh.
you familiar with Dr. Vince Bantu? He does.
Yes.
Yeah. You have his like. I assume you have his stuff. Have you been? So he's.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't
He
know.
saved me.
Just
He
want to make
like
sure
pulled
that you're
me.
aware of his
He
work, because
pulled
that
me
dude's
off the
work is.
cliff.
Yeah, that dude's
Yeah.
work
He
is.
was one of the handful of people that like pulled me off the cliff, because I was deuces.
Yeah.
I'm out. Yeah.
I
And
talked to him last year, and at the end, I was like, I don't. I thought I knew some things,
thought
and
I
I
knew the
didn't know.
scriptures.
I didn't know anything.
No
Um,
clue.
but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So where do people go? So you got
I
97
love it.
albums, apparently multiple books. Yes, like where do you want people to go
Yes.
to do the
So
things?
prophiphop.com. Prop Hip Hop has all my socials, has the books, has the links to the albums, it has everything. And all my socials are Prop Hip Hop.
Mm,
But yeah,
mm, mm,
prophiphop.com.
Really thought you were going to also say Hood Politics there. I'll say it for you. You do a
Hood
side
Politics
thing,
is there.
Hood
I do.
Politics. You should listen to it.
Yes.
Um, if you want to hear you laugh considerably more than you've done tonight. So
I do laugh a lot on that show.
that's not a bad thing.
Yes.
Yeah, Prop, I really appreciate your time tonight. So very
Dude,
much
I'm
so.
honored, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. All right, I will hit stop.